If the practice context permitted, what assessments and interventions would I engage the client in if he was continuing with the occupational therapy program? As there was limited time spent at the school and with the client, and given the limited resources that are evident at the school, there are many assessments and interventions that could be implemented aimed at improving the client's motor, social, emotional and communication skills by providing activities that are age appropriate and that would improve development in these areas. As the client has contractures in his ankles, and given that his hamstrings appeared particularly tight, which was preventing full extension of his legs, stretching and passive ranging of his lower and upper body joints twice daily instead of once would be beneficial to maintain soft tissue length and his current movement and to prevent further deformity. Goniometry measurements would also be vital to get an understanding of his current joint movement and to determine whether the passive ranging was maintaining joint movement or actually improving it. As I also completed the wheelchair measurements for the client, if the resources permitted, I would organise a custom-built wheelchair for the client. This would promote a functional upright position for him, and I would ensure that there was a tray for the wheelchair so that he could perform functional tasks at it. I would also increase opportunities for play, both structured and unstructured play, as play has been found to support social and language development, emotional growth and learning. Play also allows for problem solving, experimenting, planning, initiating and carrying out new ideas. I would also screen for sensory integration difficulties in the form of sensory seeking or avoidance behaviours by incorporating a range of sensory activities into the interventions, including, for example, vestibular. I would place the client on a scooter board and see if he could propel himself along the floor to pick up puzzle pieces, providing vestibular input. In addition to auditory stimulation through the use of musical instruments. I would also screen for tactile defensiveness through finger painting, wet textures for example. So yes, based on these findings and through this screening, I could create a sensory diet for the client. I would also do a functional home visit to obtain an understanding of the client's home environment and also get a greater understanding of his family environment, as I'm aware that he currently lives with his mother and his sister is his primary carer. Where possible, after completing this functional home visit, I'd be able to provide adaptive equipment for the client. For example, urinary bottles, so his sister is not required to carry him to and from the toilet each time he needs to go. Throughout the occupational therapy program, I would ensure that I grade and adapt all intervention activities. I would also provide one-on-one therapy sessions by removing the client from the noisy classroom environment, which would enhance his concentration and ability to comprehend and understand my instructions. I would also attempt to liaise with the client's mother and possibly his sister to ensure that her goals were being achieved during therapy. So working in a developing country and working at a school in one, which is very resource limited, has encouraged me to think outside the box, to be more resourceful when thinking about my interventions and what I would do with the client, and ensuring that all of the interventions and assessments that I would conduct with the client would be culturally sensitive and culturally appropriate.